hundreds and hundreds of people being processed. There are still hundreds of people being fined. And there are still people, like Asier and Yusuf, who were picked out of their homes, dragged, taken hostage to Madrid, accused of being part of a terrorist organization, of indoctrination, of self-radicalization. And this is nothing else than really a show of force by the Zionist entity, because in fact we do know that these things do not happen by chance.
Hey everybody, this is Laith Marouf from Free Palestine TV, and we are in the town of Beasain in Basque country. And behind me is a factory of CAF. We're going to discuss that in this episode. But before we continue with this, I ask you to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you this content. Today we have with us two of our comrades, Malen and Ron. Both of them are militants with the JARDUN, which is the Basque Socialist Independence Movement. And they're going to explain to us the importance of this factory. I think I'm going to try to say what it means, CAF, but I doubt that my pronunciation is going to be correct. Construcciones y auxiliar de ferrocarriles. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, which is railway construction and auxiliaries. Let's talk about this company. What does it do exactly? It produces trains, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
sort of, yeah. Trains, trams, a bit of everything.
And part of the what we understand is happening here is that, of course, there's a lot of companies in Spain, not only this one, that are involved in trade with the Zionist colony, whether it's weapons or industrial work. Tell us, before we talk about CAF, about this collaboration between the Spanish regime and the Basque collaborationist regime with Israel.
So we have to understand that the Basque country is in the imperialist center. So they need inevitably to link and to trade with Israeli Zionism, but not only that, being part of the center, the imperialist center, they collaborate with NATO. They are part of NATO, the Spanish and French state. And in the case of the Basque country, the national bourgeois needs to link its economic and financial strategies to Israel and NATO. Okay, so that's first. We understand that the Spanish and French capitalist states are part of the imperialist force. They are occupying the Basque country, but the national bourgeois, not only the enterprises, but also the politicians, have different relations with Israel. Okay, the first one would be the commercial one. They need the existence of an entity as Israel to have profits, because they do trading, they need Israeli financial too, and that's CAF is an example, but there are other examples, as Irizar. It's a Basque company that since the 80s has been providing buses to Israel. Okay. The other relationship would be military relationship. Not only the Basque, the Spanish, and the French repression forces use the weapons and the technology they are testing in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Lebanon, in Yemen, but also they need training. For example, the Basque Zipayo forces, the Ertzainas, were trained by Israeli forces. The French and the Spanish militaries use Israeli weapons, use technology. So we have to understand this in a complex situation that they need each other, okay? The third part would be institutional relation. This is essential. This is a key concept to normalize the entity of Israel and to clean their face, okay? So they use the right and the left politicians the excuse that they need to work with Israel in order to create a scenario where people cannot confront the idea of Israel existing on occupied land, okay? And in the other, we have to understand too that the repression we are suffering because we are supporting Palestine, we have to understand it in this view too, okay? In this relation. They are working as lapdogs of NATO and Israel, so they need to collaborate and to do their dirty work, okay? We have seen that with lawsuits. We have had a lot of repression by the flotilla in Loyu, in La Vuelta in Bilbao. So we are seeing a lot of examples that actually show what the Basque and the Spanish and French states are doing with Israel. And the last one would be the cultural one, okay? So they need to create an ideological scenario where people accept that they are helping a genocide entity. So to do that, they have like annual matches against Maccabi in last days, or they take Israeli fines that films to the Cinemaldia of Donostia. So this would be the complex situation we are living because of the necessity of the ruling class, not only in the Spanish and French occupier states, but also with national bourgeois.
We just heard, of course, the general overview of the collaboration between the regimes in Iberia and in France with the Zionists. But what does CAF do in terms of its collaboration with the Zionist regime?
Well, I think one of the clearest examples of what CAF actually does is how they're providing, for example, Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, both with trains, with trams, and we have seen here in the Basque Country direct action taken against them in order to denounce that collaboration that still exists, and it is very, very much direct and something very, very clear and easy to see.
So they're helping in building the train tracks from Tel Aviv into the colonies?
Yeah, the thing they're doing is building an occupation train. And they have been providing them with the infrastructure they need to make possible the entity of Israel. Okay? So historically, this is a symbolic enterprise, okay? That we tend, the Palestinian pro-movement tend to criminalize, but there are a lot of enterprises in the Basque Country and in the Spanish state and in the French state. But it's true that historically there has been a focus to cut off relationship with Israel because it was very symbolic and very clear what they were doing, but and it has been like a historical boycott and manifestations, demonstrations. But 10 days ago, there was a meeting of the chairmen, like the one that they split the profits, okay? So with Palestinarekin Elkartasuna, that is a platform, some organizations created after the 7th of October, did a demonstration, direct actions here to say and to let the people see what is happening in the Basque Country and what is happening with the capitalist states that are providing means to a genocide. So that's it.
So there was a demonstration just in a few weeks ago here at the factory for CAF.
Yeah.
You mentioned they were building trains for the Israeli colonial system, railway systems. What happened in this demonstration?
Well, I would say it went as it usually goes, sadly, which is, of course, the activists got repressed by, in this case, the Basque police, that we must not forget operates on behalf of the Spanish state and on behalf of the Zionist entity. And so one of the main issues that right now the pro-Palestine movement is facing in the Basque Country, and specifically Palestina and Cartagena, because of their position and the ways of acting, is what we could call soft law or soft repression, in which a lot of times they're not being arrested in their houses, they're not being taken to Madrid, as it has happened recently as well, but they're more than often being charged with incredible, unbelievably huge fines, because that's a bit more of a silent repression, if you wish, one that doesn't make the headlines, but that is capable of ruining many souls' lives.
Yeah, so the demonstrators, I heard, were able to access the trains being built for the Zionists and smashed the windows. Since then they have been arresting people or charging them with things. Is that what you're explaining, Ron?
Yeah, so because it's an ongoing thing, really, it means that for every action that is taken against the Zionist entity, against its collaborators, there is going to be an answer, a repressive answer. And so we still have hundreds of people that are being processed, that are being fined, that are being persecuted for the actions taken here against CAF, for the actions taken against the trams that were built and stored, for the actions taken, for example, in La Vuelta, to stop a Zionist team from partaking. So it's definitely an ongoing thing, and I don't think it will stop.
We know this cross-solidarity that is happening, internationalism in revolution. We saw some of the ETA prisoners, they're on hunger strike, is that correct, in solidarity with the Palestinians? And we have also some of our colleagues that were repressed because of their activism on Palestine. Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we need to backtrack a bit, go a bit back in time to understand that the commitment of the Basque people and Basque revolutionaries towards Palestine is not something new. And so for many, many years, Basque revolutionaries have been to Middle East, especially to Levant, both to share experiences and to learn from each other. And so our political prisoners, of course, do know what is going on in Gaza. They know what is going on in Palestine. They know what is going on in Lebanon, Yemen. And here, there is something that we need to understand, and it's while a few of us were outside, free, we do have the capability of organizing ourselves, working together, of putting up a demonstration, of taking direct action against those who collaborate with the Zionist entity. But those who remain hostage in both prisons, in the Spanish-occupied side of the Basque Country and the French-occupied side of the Basque Country, they do not have that privilege of being able to organize themselves to demonstrate. So a lot of times what they have resorted to is one of the last things that they have, and that's their bodies. And so in solidarity with the Palestinian people, in solidarity with the resistance, more than once they haven't hesitated when it was time to carry out a hunger strike. here we need to understand as well that information a lot of times takes a bit longer to travel to the prisons. But despite all of that, we must not forget that a lot of our revolutionaries did, of course, spend time and share a lot of it with Comrade Abdallah, for example. So none of them was really...
George Abdullah
Yeah.
from the Communist Party in Lebanon.
Yeah. So none of them was really... The cause was not something unknown to them. And so I guess this is the way we should sum things up. Well, some have the privilege of organizing here outside and fighting on the streets. Some others have to do it with the very last thing that they have. That is their bodies, their health. But repression, of course, doesn't end there, I guess. And we must not forget there is still hundreds and hundreds of people being processed. There is still hundreds of people being fined. And there are still people, like Asier and Yusuf, who were picked out of their homes, dragged, taken hostage to Madrid, accused of being part of a terrorist organization, of indoctrination, of self-radicalization. And this is nothing else than really a show of force by the Zionist entity, because in fact we do know that these things do not happen by chance. It is something this happened in many other places in Europe. We know this happens in France, we know this happens in Germany, we know this happens in Italy, we know this happens in the United Kingdom. So there is something that we should always take with us, as we need to keep on resisting. We need to show solidarity with the utmost commitment, because as Malen said, when it comes to internationalism, we cannot do it from a standpoint of like the comfort of our homes, just out of pity. It needs to be out of commitment. It needs to be out of knowing that as long as Palestine is not free, the Basque Country won't be free, that Ireland won't be united and free. And as such, this is the work that we have to do.
Well, we can see obviously that in the Basque Country people are trying hard to make sure that the collaborationist regime in the Basque and France and not to continue this collaboration with the Zionists. But looking at these actions that happened over the last few months and the arrests of our comrades Asier and Yusuf and so forth, what do you see coming for the future? Do you feel like you need to change anything, or do you need to add more actions? How are you going to, as Basque revolutionaries, try to change, defeat the government's collaboration here?
So I think we need to understand that our position is not a neutral one. We don't want to be like a discourse of humanitarian discourse that is peacemaking and accepts the oppression of an entity that it's not really a state, it's an entity, an occupier entity, and we reject that, okay? But also we reject the position that, appeals to an abstract resistance. We are not saying something abstract. The reality is that there are forces and working people doing the job of the resistance, and we need to support that. I think that we have to engage that real internationalism, anti-imperialist, and we need to make real steps towards the future. Because what we are seeing now, it's a crisis, an inevitable crisis of the imperialist forces. So I think that our main goal has to be to liberate the Basque Country, socially and nationally, to liberate Palestine. And it's the same with the Palestinian resistance, it's the same with the resistance from Iran, from Yemen, from Lebanon. We have to be engaged with other oppressed people and oppressed nations, but liberating our nations.
Exactly. Well, you know, any attack on and a defeat of imperialism anywhere is a defeat for imperialism everywhere. The liberation of the Basque country is tied to the liberation of Palestine, to the liberation of Venezuela, to the liberation of every other nation. Malen and Ron, thank you so much for giving us this lesson. Please go and check the work of JARDUN online, and remember to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching, and to go to our website freepalestine.video to donate so we can continue bringing you this content. Until we see you next time, we bid you all a free Palestine and a free Basque country.